So what if I told you that art wasn't just, a nice hobby, but the only thing that could actually save us from a world that's losing its meaning? Well, that's exactly what the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche thought. For him, art wasn't some luxury, it was a vital tool for human survival. So today, we're going to dive into his pretty radical idea that art is the ultimate answer to meaninglessness.
Nietzsche's philosophy is often described as a time bomb, and you got to admit, that's a pretty fitting image, right? His ideas weren't just some casual commentary. No, they were like an explosive charge, literally designed to shatter the comfortable beliefs of his time. He saw a crisis on the horizon that almost nobody else did.
Okay, so what was this crisis he was talking about? See, Nietzsche wasn't just some philosopher with his head in the clouds. He saw himself as a diagnostician of culture. And his diagnosis, well, it was pretty grim. He believed the modern world was on a collision course with a massive, profound, spiritual collapse.
And at the heart of it all was his most famous and maybe most misunderstood proclamation: God is dead. Now, I'm sure you've heard that. But here's the thing. He wasn't celebrating. This was not some triumphant cry for atheism. It was a warning, a huge one. He saw that for centuries, belief in God had been the West's moral compass. And that compass was completely shattered. And this leads us right to the central problem that Nietzsche was absolutely obsessed with. I mean, think about it. If the ultimate source of all our value and meaning is just gone, what's left to guide us? What on earth is supposed to fill that void?
No, seriously, let's just think about that for a second. If there are no preordained rules, no higher purpose handed down to us, where do we even turn? This isn't just some abstract puzzle for philosophers to debate. For Nietzsche, this question was going to be the defining struggle of modern life.
And all of this points to the great danger he identified: nihilism. That chilling, gut-wrenching realization that maybe, just maybe, everything is meaningless. It's the abyss, right? The giant black hole that opens up after the death of God. And for Nietzsche, figuring out how to get across that abyss was the most important, the most urgent task imaginable.
But here's the twist. Nietzsche wasn't a philosopher of despair. Not at all. He diagnosed the problem so he could propose a truly radical solution. His big idea? If meaning can no longer be found out there in the world, then there's only one place left to look: within ourselves.
Just think about what that really means for a second. With no external authorities left to tell us how to live, we have to turn inward. We have to forge our own values. We have to create our own meaning. In essence, what Nietzsche is telling us is that we must all become the artists of our own lives.
So in this new world, this new framework, art is, well, it's not just a hobby anymore, not even close. It becomes the most important ethical act a person can possibly perform. It's how we take the raw, messy chaos of existence and shape it into something meaningful, something beautiful. It's how we look at life with all its struggles and say yes to it.
And this brings us to probably his most misunderstood concept: the will to power. I know, it sounds aggressive, doesn't it? But as thinkers like Gilles Deleuze helped clarify, it's got nothing to do with dominating other people. It's about mastering yourself. It's that deep, internal drive to grow, to overcome your own limitations, and to channel all that passion into creating something new.
And this quote really gets to the heart of it. The will to dominate, the impulse to destroy, that actually comes from a place of weakness. But for Nietzsche, real power, that will to power, is all about creation and renewal. It builds things up. It never tears them down.
All right, so if art is the big answer, how does it actually work? Well, for Nietzsche, all creation, and especially all great art, is like a battleground for two primal opposing forces.
Okay, on one side, you've got the Dionysian. This is the raw, the chaotic, the instinctual energy of life itself. Think wild music, ecstatic dancing. It's that direct, untamed experience. And on the other side, you have the Apollonian. This is the force of order, of reason, of form. It's what gives structure to all that chaos, creating soothing beauty and clear forms, like you see in a perfect sculpture or in language.
But here is the absolute key. Nietzsche isn't saying one is good and the other is bad. Not at all. He argues that the greatest art, the kind of art that can actually give our lives meaning, is born in the tense, perfect balance between them. It's a constant, dynamic tug of war.
His favorite example for this was ancient Greek tragedy. Think about it. The story itself, that's the Dionysian part. It often shows you the terrifying, chaotic, messy truth of existence.
But it's all presented through the beautiful, ordered, structured language of the Apollonian chorus. And what that does is it allows us to confront the horror of life without being completely destroyed by it. It's like we get to touch the fire, but the art gives us a way to make sense of the burn.
Okay, but this brings us to a really fascinating final point, a paradox that Nietzsche himself was totally aware of. And honestly, it's a paradox that challenges this entire explainer, the very act of trying to explain art at all.
So here's the dilemma. You know that raw, visceral feeling you get from a really powerful piece of music or a painting? That's pure Dionysian energy. But the second we start to analyze it, to use words and logic to explain it, which is exactly what we're doing right now, we're slapping an Apollonian frame on it. We are literally taming its wild spirit just to make it understandable.
So Nietzsche basically lands on this fundamental tension. To really get what art is doing, you have to feel it. You have to experience it directly. Analysis, sure, it can help us appreciate the structure and the craft, but it can never, ever replace that raw, instinctual Dionysian encounter.
Which leaves us with one last pretty provocative question to chew on. To truly understand art, do we have to stop trying to explain it? I mean, by forcing it into these neat, rational boxes, are we accidentally stripping away the very power that makes it so vital in the first place? It's the ultimate paradox of Nietzsche's view on art. And it kind of suggests that the deepest truths can only be felt, never just told.